Hello friends, Mali Panpadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. Our goal is to bring to you 1,000 champions of change and community builders. And today I'm really delighted to bring to you Rick Bernstein. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Molly. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. So can you share with our community what you're currently working on in the world and what led you there?
Absolutely. So the last 15 years of my career has been exclusively within healthcare. And I've always had a passion for the human condition, both physically, emotionally, mentally. And so my career really in healthcare began 15 years ago, supporting medical devices and bringing better outcomes through surgical devices. And so after a number of years of working across a range of specialties, I actually went to the other side of healthcare, which is more the philanthropy side, so healthcare fundraising. And I worked with a large provider of fundraising software, CRM analytics type of tools to help empower foundations, offices of philanthropy at hospital systems to understand their constituents better, their supporters, know what drives them in giving and what attracted them to the organization and how to best cultivate those relationships. And it was really, through that experience and working not only within healthcare, but also not-for-profits in particular, that I really was drawn to social impact and making a difference. My focus being on the health of our communities, but really just the widespread everything that's being done in higher ed, that's being done in faith-based organizations to just spread social good. And so in April of this year, of 2019, I started my own organization called Bernstein Solutions. And where we focus is on organizations, they can be for-profit or not-for-profit, who are socially impactful or looking to increase their social impact footprint.
That's great. That's great. That's definitely in alignment with what we're doing here. So it's perfect that we have you as a part of this series today. The next question that I have for you is around just community builders, change agent mentors in your life who have really created an imprint in your mind or have shifted you in some profound way. Do you have some anecdotes or do you want to feature anybody in your life that's supported you?
Well, for me, it all starts with family first and foremost. Coming from a family, obviously with humble beginnings and means, and just them being so family geared and focused on our emotional and physical well-being. Obviously, family for me has really been the foundational footprint for me, and hoping to extend that with my own family and my kids, which you can see some of their drawings in the background. There are so many leaders, there are so many quotes, even leading up to our conversation, and going over so many that I identify with in some certain way. But for me, it was actually visiting these not-for-profit organizations and seeing people doing the work. You don't necessarily have to be the CX officer of some kind or the executive director per se. The passion runs through these organizations from development associates, database managers, all the way up through the leaders. So, those individuals who are so committed and feel a mission so strongly that they are dedicating themselves, their full being, their financial well-being, their emotional well-being, their time, their commitment to the cause. Those are the people to me that inspire me the most, and who give back to our country. And again, that extends also to, obviously the veterans who support and defend our country as well. So those in service and of service to others is really who I look up to and admire. And it was just I was so lucky to have the opportunity to consult and be on site with so many not-for-profit organizations who were doing this work, seeing their environment, seeing the good that they were doing, whether it be in an emotionally connected video that they put out, or understanding the statistics, the number of mouths that they're feeding, or the number of lives impacted. It was really profound for me.
That's great. Well, speaking of people of service and in service, when you think of community builders and champions of change, what are some of the attributes that you absolutely admire and that you find consistently show up when they're out there trying to create the impact?
Yeah. Well, I think what really I think cuts through the noise is authenticity. That is something that it can be anything in how you're carrying yourself, to the quality of the work, to the relationships, to the people who surround yourself with. So it's purely a reflection on yourself and your authentic self in the company that you keep and the type of organizations that you support. So I think for me, an authenticity, a genuineness and authenticity is certainly very important. And trust. I mean, the ability to establish trust, whether it be a product, a service, a relationship that you extend. I mean, my life and career has been about extending trust. And, as Maya Angelou put it, it's not what you did or what you said, but how you made people feel. That type of feel and people feeling a draw to you and what you're doing and trusting you to be either an extension, a voice for their organization as an employee or as a volunteer, or an organization trusting you to be their next leader. So I think coming off being yourself, staying true to who you are, being authentic and genuine, but also the ability to build trust and back up the promises, keep the commitments that you make. I think really are what set those leaders apart.
That's great. Well, how else are you community building? How are you utilizing your gifts, your talents, all the resources that have now become a part of this package of you? What movements, causes are you helping to advance?
Well, the timing of this conversation is actually perfect. I just today wound down, as today's the final day of a Facebook fundraiser that I've been doing the last 2 weeks for my birthday, which is in July. But it's dedicated to an organization who is focused on social emotional wellness for children and helping children reach their life's full potential. And I got to say, becoming a parent just was a total change for me. It created just a sense of selflessness where it wasn't about me anymore. It was really about, creating and cultivating and nurturing, 2 little ones that I have as being my focus. And so what I do, I'm a trained professional voice talent. I took professional training about 10 years ago, and I have over the last 10 years been helping vocalize brands, missions, messaging for organizations, everything from corporate training videos to other emceeing type of events. So I enjoy the act of narration and reaching audiences through my voice, literally through my voice. And so what I did for my Facebook fundraiser was I handpicked certain articles that really spoke to me in child rearing, being a parent, and I narrated them and I made them available on Facebook for parents who might be going through struggles. They were articles ranging from, managing a teenager who might be suffering from depression, or, how can we build more resiliency in our children, letting failure be a part of their lives and having them grow from that. That was the article I narrated today. So this was really a repurposing of content. I cannot claim to take credit for those. Those were authored by psychiatrists, psychologists, people very qualified in the field, evidence-based type of practitioners. But I want to help reach an audience who might not be subscribed to their newsletter or might not be aware of what they're doing. So if I can reach friends of mine who are parents, who are thinking about parenthood, and how they can, just keep some tips and tricks in mind and how they can approach their child's life in a healthy way. That's what I try to do with my voice, and try to do for other organizations as well.
That's very neat. Very, very cool.
And we just about that. We were 190% to our goal for the fundraiser. We're almost at twice our goal, 200% of our goal. So I'm really excited about that and very grateful to everyone who supported me.
That's great. Well, happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And congratulations on surpassing the goal that you set.
Thanks.
It's all for a good cause, so I'm happy to support you there as well. So let's talk now about when times are challenging and when things have not always gone our way in life.
Yeah.
Is there a motto, philosophy, or quote that you would like to share that helps you so that our audience can be also empowered by it?
Yeah, it's again back to Maya Angelou. She has another one about being, not letting the defeats defeat us, and overcoming those challenges. I think in reliving myself and my life through my children and letting them fail, watching their disappointments so that they can learn too, and propping them up and helping them build that resiliency. It's something that really awakened in me the value of failure and taking on challenges that maybe you don't feel either qualified for, or maybe feel, it might be too much, or you might overextend yourself. And learning through that, ultimately, it's going to push you that much harder because you are going to keep your commitment, and you're going to find a way to keep that commitment. So for me, in challenges and times, I really, I look to my family. I look inward. I kind of take a breath and just reestablish and come back to who I am, the authenticity of my character. Does what I'm doing align with my mission, with my values, my ethics? And if it does, then I want to have those frank conversations. I want to be genuine and honest with where I stand. If I feel like I'm not up to that task, I want to speak with that leader, that person who I'm either report to, that client, and talk about ways where if we're stuck, how can we work through this together? Mm-hmm. So I think it really comes down to that honesty of self, and that authenticity with yourself, and knowing if you have overextended yourself or feel over challenged, to recognize it and be honest about it. What I've learned in doing business with clients, literally from Virginia to Maine in healthcare, is, if you don't know, say you don't know, and embrace that. If you don't know the answer to something, and say, okay, well, let's find out a way together on how we can get that answer, or let me get back to you with that answer. Don't take that burden onto yourself and then ultimately overpromise something that you can't deliver. So yeah, for me, it really comes back to just staying true to myself.
It sounds easy, not always easy.
No, it's not. And they say, I think there's a song lyric that says, the right thing is often the hardest thing to do is the right thing to do. Yeah. Or vice versa. The right thing to do is often the hardest thing to do. So, ultimately, that's going to win out. It all kind of washes out in the end. And I think that comes across to your clients, to your peers in your organization, when you are being honest with yourself, and taking a collaborative approach to it and getting more people involved. And ultimately, that can take some of the pressure off yourself when you do that.
Yeah. I think you may have answered this through that sharing there, but perhaps you have some additional insights to add. What would a better world look like through your eyes?
Well, I definitely think right now, a sense of humanity, of compassion for one another, seeing each other as all equals. To me, it can be from an acknowledgement, a smile, a nod. Just people want to be noticed. People want to be recognized. And beyond that, respecting people for who they are. Again, I think it's all over Facebook that the quote about, I treat a CEO the same way I would treat a janitor type of thing, where you show those people those respect who are doing that work every day, because we don't realize how much we all rely on each other to get any transaction done. It's not about title. It's not about salary or pay structure. It's really that we are all here ultimately to transact and ultimately help each other kind of advance things like social impactful organizations, things that make the world a better place. We're doing it because we all share the same, same humanity. So hopefully, people, whether it's involvement in social good organizations, not-for-profit organizations, for-profit organizations that are really social conscious and wanting to do good, their corporate culture, preaching a corporate culture that is inclusive, that is mindful, that takes people's well-being and wellness to heart, and so that they can perform and do their best. I think just this sense of humanity and compassion for each other is really, to me, what it would look like.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Rick. How can our community support you right now? That's the first question. And the second question is, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the offer, and I would almost turn that back around to you and the community. How can I help you? I come from a 20-year background across different fields, IT, healthcare, but my true passion is really helping, positively impact our communities, the health of our communities. So you can find me online, LinkedIn, Rick Bernstein, bernsteinsolutions.com. You can also find me at thevoiceofdc.com, where I MC events, I do fundraisers, I do other social type gatherings, but I also vocalize branding through voiceovers for businesses, for corporations, for not-for-profit organizations, e-learning, training videos. So if I can help in any way extend your message, help you engage with your constituents, your supporters, that's the best way to find me.
Thank you, Rick. We'll take you up on it.
Sounds good.
We'll definitely be in touch. Thank you so much for all of your insights today and all the great work that you're doing through your business, as well as all of the efforts that you do beyond the business. We really appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much. And Molly, I want to give you a shout out for what you're doing and helping initiate and foster this community. It has to start from somewhere. And it takes that change leader, change agent mentality to start that. It's not easy to cultivate a community. So thank you so much for obviously the invite to be on your platform, but for promoting this in this region and nationwide. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I received that. And it's not just me, it's our amazing team that really believes that the community building aspect of business, of civic leadership, is really what's going to bring us back to that humanity that you spoke so beautifully about. So we're on a mission together.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. For those that are watching, we appreciate you. Please remember to nominate yourself or someone in your community who's making a huge impact in your life and in the lives of others. Visit us at nebula.storecommunitynetwork.com. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.